In my mid to late 20s, I have a degree in screenwriting, and I have been an actor on and off. And at the time, all I was doing was working retail. And I'm trying to save money to go to Ireland, specifically to go to Belfast, because they were still shooting at each other at the time. This is the early 1990s. And I thought if I went to Belfast, I would truly understand the Catholic Protestant Irish conflict, and I could write short stories about it, or I could write poems about it, and maybe I'd win a Nobel Prize or two, something like that. This would not have been a particularly good idea. And also, after months and months of working retail, I had saved up exactly enough money to buy a toaster. But I had actually spent enough time there that I worked up some vacation days. I had a full week, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. I wanted to go away with my girlfriend someplace, and we couldn't quite figure out where to go. And my girlfriend was very unlikely. I mean, her name was Adelia, and she was gorgeous, and she had a really interesting background. Her father was Argentinian, her mother was Brazilian, so she spoke Spanish and Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese. And she grew up in Brazil until she was around 6 years old, whereupon her father decided to move to Canada. And of course, they went to Newfoundland, because that is a hotbed of South American culture in Canada right there. And she was fascinating. She was a musician first and foremost, and she was also a flamenco dancer. I met her at a party, completely unlikely, because I heard her talking about some woman. She walked in, she said, "You're so beautiful, you look like Sonia Braga." It's a Brazilian actress. And I said, "Oh, Sonia Braga from Donna Floor and Her Two Husbands, or Sonia Braga from Bye Bye Brazil?" She said, "You've seen those?" So yeah, I was a film student. I've seen lots of South American film, and I love those weird, Coffin Joe Brazilian movies. And we got along, and we went out for coffee, and we talked about stuff, and we went back to her place, and we discovered there were numerous things we'd like to do together. So I had this unlikely, completely we have nothing in common girlfriend, and I was kind of delighted. The problem was she was always gigging. We didn't see each other particularly often, so we both kind of knew, okay, this is not going to be a romance for the ages, but we liked each other. We genuinely liked each other. It was very nice when we had a couple of hours of genuine quiet. She didn't have a gig, I didn't have to work, that type of stuff. So you might imagine my delight. It's around February, early 90s. It's freezing cold, and she calls me and she goes, "Michael, do you want to have a dirty weekend?" This has my attention. She said, "I've got something better. Michael, you want to have a dirty week?" Tell me more. She had managed to be employed by somebody at Queen's University. They were doing a week-long session of dance and music, and they were bringing her in to teach flamenco to people. And she said, we can go to Queen's, and we're going to be doing this seminar. Now, we can stay for free. It's kind of like a bed and breakfast, and you can come to some of the sessions, but the schedule might change. But you can come to the sessions, and we're going to be away, and it's going to be a full week. What do you say? I'm thinking, beautiful woman, get out of town. I've got some vacation days. Wonderful. Okay, let's do it. She went up on the weekend before. I went up on the Sunday, and it's a very long bus ride. I primed myself by drinking what I referred to as a Withnell. Anybody seen the movie Withnell and I? Yes. Okay. So the way I would deal with a bus ride over 5 hours, I would have 2 pints of cider and 2 shots of gin. That'll put you to sleep. And I had the Withnell. I got on a Greyhound bus. I slept straight through for 5 hours, and I got to Kingston, Ontario to meet Adelia. And I went to this charming bed and breakfast that I had been told about. And it wasn't a bed and breakfast. It's just the closest thing she could think of in English. It was sort of like a dorm. Actually, no, it wasn't a dorm. It was sort of like a commune. It gets better. It was a house with 8 or 9 rooms that during the day were going to be used for these seminars and these sessions, but we could sleep there at night. They had a pull-out couch in each room. And I went up to the room, which at this point was sort of still being an office and sort of being a bedroom, and I left my jacket on the fold-out bed, and Adelia's going, "Michael, come downstairs, I have to tell you something." And she's there, and she's got a parka on, because it's February, and we are in Kingston. She says, "Oh, where's your jacket?" "Oh, it's upstairs. Do you want to go someplace?" "Oh, no, you can't go upstairs." "Why not?" "Well, my friend Jane is up there, and she's with her boyfriend." Okay, well, I just knock on the door. No, they're upstairs together. Well, I said they could because they never see each other. So I had this terrible realization that my dirty weekend had begun. I just wasn't having it. Some other couple was in the middle of it. I don't have a jacket. It's February. Well, let's go across the street. Okay, so we do, and I sit there shivering at a second cup for around 2 hours while her friend and her other friend are enjoying my weekend, or our weekend, depending how you want to put it. And it was kind of fun. There are a lot of musicians around, and they're all talking about salsa, and unfortunately a lot of them are speaking Spanish and Portuguese. I speak neither Spanish nor Portuguese. But I was at Adelia's side, and it was loud, and it was fun, and people were jamming, and eventually I kind of got tired, and I went upstairs, and I chased these people out of the bedroom, and she stayed up till around 4 a.m, and then she left the next day at 8 a.m. to start these classes. We're going to meet for lunch at noon, and we have a perfect restaurant. It's called the Chinese Laundry Cafe. I don't know if it exists anymore. It was in Kingston at the time. Everyone I knew who went to Queens said it was wonderful. She said, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there at 12 o'clock. I'm there at 12. She's not there. I'm there at 12:15. She's not there. I'm there at 12:30. It's not there. This is in the primitive times, children. This is when cell phones were available, but they were incredibly expensive. So I didn't have one. She didn't have one. The way we decided to communicate is that if she got stuck someplace, she would call my Toronto answering machine. I would go to a payphone, call my own phone, listen to my messages, and hear her say something. She's left a message. She goes, hi, Michael, I'm sorry, the schedule changed. I'll be back at the house at 4 o'clock. Okay, so I have lunch alone, and I walk around Kingston for a couple of hours. I go back to the house. The room is still being an office, so I can't sleep there, but I can at least drop my bag. And she's not there at 4 o'clock. She's not there at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I call my messages. The second time she goes, yeah, I'm so sorry, the schedule changed. The schedule changed. I'll be there by 8 o'clock. I'll be there at 8. I have 3 hours to do nothing in Kingston. I go back upstairs. There's a guy going through my backpack saying, hey, I'm looking for smokes. Sorry, dude, I don't smoke. Oh, okay. You want to chip in for pizza? Yeah, sure. Okay, I found your wallet. I just took 20. I'll get you back. I mentioned this was like a commune, right? Okay, so I have a new policy. If I leave that establishment, I'm going to carry everything on my back. I'm not going to leave my bag anyplace. 8 o'clock, Adelia does not show up, but she's left a message saying, listen, there's a great restaurant downtown. It's called Jefe's. Come to Jefe's. I'm going to be there, and we're going to be jamming all night. I don't know where Jefe's is. That's all she said. She dropped off her message. I leave her a message saying, where the hell is this place? I ask everybody around where this place is. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I wander around downtown Kingston for an hour and a half. By 9:30, I have found the place. It's not called Jefe's. It's called Jeff's. And it's kind of fun. There are a lot of people. Once again, she's demonstrating flamenco. Flamenco is a wonderful art form, okay? I knew several people who have done it religiously, and I believe it's emotional, and it's intense, and it's completely 100% legitimate. Having said that, I am a Philistine because it drives me crazy. I am watching all this flamenco. I'm thinking, okay, let me guess. Is this the part where someone stands there and does this? Oh, let me guess. They're going to walk 3 feet to the right, and they're going to do this. I have overdosed on flamenco very early on. We end up going back to the room at around 1 a.m, and there were 5 of us because she's talking to 2 people who have come all the way from Brazil. They have no place to stay, so they're sleeping on our floor in an office building that has a pull-out couch. So it's cozy. It's a very cozy night, but this cannot exactly be said. It's wonderful alone time. I've only talked to her for an hour and a half each day. Okay, Tuesday, we're going to have breakfast. Tuesday morning. 8 a.m, she wakes me up. She goes, we're going to have breakfast. We're going to go to the next workshop, and they've got a whole buffet spread, and it's going to be wonderful. And I get there, and I'm with her, and I said, okay, this is wonderful. What do we do? And she goes, I'm really sorry, actually. I didn't read the details enough. See, you haven't registered, so I can't bring you in. But I'm going to see if I can get you some toast. She walks into this hallway, someplace at Queen's University, and she comes out 20 minutes later and gives me 2 pieces of toast and says, "This is the best workshop I've ever done. I really wish you were here. Can you listen at the door? Because you really should, because it's incredible." Well, okay, you don't speak Portuguese. Okay, well, it's still incredible, but here's some toast. And then she leaves. It's a 3-hour workshop. 3 hours later, I go back to the hall, and she's not there. I call my machine in Toronto. She says, "Okay, I'm so sorry, sweetie, but the schedule changed. I'm actually not going to be back at the house until 7. So now I've got 4 hours to do nothing." And I go back to the house. Okay, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. She said, "Okay, this is just going to be you and me tonight. It's only you and me. Everyone else is going to a different party. It's just going to be you and me. It's going to be wonderful." I'm thinking, great. Finally, we can have one of these wonderful kind of quiet moments together, until someone says, "You do realize that nobody at this event actually speaks English, so they need a translator." So she goes to this event, and she explains salsa and how it relates to fado, and they don't relate in any way, shape, or form, by the way. It takes her an hour and a half to do this. She is bouncing between Spanish and Portuguese, and they're playing a lot of salsa, and she's singing some fado, and it's kind of beautiful, and it goes on until 2 in the morning. And at 2 in the morning, she is literally keeling over. I put her into a cab. I take her back, put her into this horrible, what was the expression? Purgatorial couch. I'm thinking, I should get out of here. Pleasantly. Like I'm not angry, but it's very obvious that things are kind of messed up. I mean, she's going to be very busy, and she keeps saying, "I'm so sorry, but the schedule's changed. All of the workshops I've signed up for, the schedule's changed. The schedule's all over the place." I can deal with that. I can't deal with the fact I get thrown out of this commune/dorm. I'm carrying everything on my back, and it's the Wednesday, and it's raining now. I haven't shaved for 3 days. I am bedraggled. I'm carrying everything I own on my back, and I'm going broke. I mean, I have money, but this is, again, children, the prehistoric times. I go to a bank machine. My checking account is almost empty. I transfer from my savings account, and it says, "Okay, we can do that, but it's going to take 3 hours." So I can't even go to a pub at this point. I go to the library. I'm sitting in a study carrel in the library thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I putting up with this? My vacation is being ruined. I should just leave, and I'm looking miserable. And suddenly someone taps me in the shoulder and goes, "Why, hi. Look like you're having a bad day." And I lean over and I realize they've got the little Salvation Army pin. And I'm carrying all my possessions with me. And they think I'm homeless. This very nice Salvation Army man says, "If you're hungry, we've got some Subway sandwiches in the back room, and it's on us if you want one." I realized I have not actually had a meal with anybody for 4 days, so I said, "You know what? Yeah, I'd love a sandwich." So I impersonated being a homeless person for an hour and a half to have company over lunch. I had the sandwich. I said thank you. For the record, I did go back the next day, and I deposited $50. Okay. Wednesday night, I've been bedraggled. I'm wet. I'm cold. She already had a dinner party, and the dinner party I went to. In the dinner party, I was by her side, and I understood what everybody was saying, and there was not an overemphasis on a dance form I do not appreciate, and it was great. Unfortunately, the ceviche she was eating was not the best. She got horrible food poisoning and spent most of the evening between the purgatorial couch and the bathroom and various people trying to give her advice about how to deal with it. She survives the night. She has a workshop 8 in the morning the next day. And it's Thursday, and I'm thinking, I was going to jettison this. I was actually just going to go back to Toronto at this point. But you know what? We had a nice night, and it's not her fault that the schedule changes. This is just weirder than I thought. That's fine. You know what? It's going to be wonderful, and I'll hang out to the weekend. So what? I got out of town. That's something. And I walked into Queen's University, and I saw like a big blackboard that had the 10 workshops that happened every day, and there were people writing their name for each workshop. And I watched a woman go in, and she looked around, and she looked at the available workshops, and she scratched her name out of one, and she wrote her name in another one. And I said, "Excuse me, how do they tell you that the schedule changes?" And she said, what are you talking about? I said, well, yeah, I just saw you left, the 3 o'clock. You're taking the 1 o'clock. How do they tell you that you have to do that? She said, well, they don't. I mean, the workshops, you have to pay for 5, but if there's any space available, you can just take it. And it took me a minute to realize that Adelia was not being entirely honest, because it's not that the schedule had changed. She had changed her schedule. She kept telling me, this is out of my hands. I'm not spending any time with you because the schedule's changed. No. She had chosen to take these classes rather than spend time with me, and I'm walking around being mistaken for being homeless. That is the last straw. Okay, now I feel I have the strength of the righteous. I call her Toronto answering machine and go, hi, hon. It's Michael. I'm at the university right now. Could you meet me at 2 o'clock? It's kind of obligatory. And she does meet me, and I say, do you realize what you've been doing? I have had nothing to do for the last couple of days. I'm sorry you got food poisoning, but this is nuts. You keep deserting me in the afternoons. You have been taking extra workshops. You didn't tell me that's how it worked. You have chosen to do this. I came all the way here to be with you. Why are you doing this to me? And I'm expecting a fight or an apology. I didn't get either one. She looked at me and she gave me the most wonderful, sweet, incredible smile. And she said, well, maybe I didn't explain things properly. But you know what? It has meant a lot to me that you've been here, because what that means is we could spend time together anytime during these couple of days. And the fact that we can do that means a lot to me. I said, yeah, but we haven't. And she said, yeah, but we could have. But we haven't. I know, but we could have. And she looked really happy. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to do tomorrow? She said, well, the schedule's changed. I have things to do. And I realized we are having 2 very different conversations. And she kissed me passionately and said, we'll try to find some time tonight. We did not. I'm sitting around. I have all my possessions on my back. I've gone back to the Chinese laundry cafe. I'm wondering what I'm going to do. I don't know if I can put up with this. I've ordered lunch. I've ordered, for the record, I ordered a club sandwich and fries and a beer and a shot. And I brought a tuna and curry with an asparagus salad. And I said, excuse me, I didn't order this. Also, I'm allergic to asparagus, and I'm allergic to curry powder. Can you get me what I ordered, please? And the waiter went, you know what? The cook is going out for smokes. He'll be back maybe like half an hour. And I'm staring at the window. I said, okay, well, give me another beer, another shot. I'm knocking this back. I'm thinking, if I could only escape, if only I could just leave this place. And I had an epiphany, because while I'd been dropped off at the bus station, there was a second bus pickup right in the middle of the university, directly across the street. I was thinking, wouldn't it be wrong, if I were just to knock back this drink and not pay for my lunch and simply walk across the street and get on the bus and show them my ticket? That would be entirely wrong. Or I could merely say that the schedule had changed. And by the time Adelia figures it out and she calls my machine in Toronto, I'll just pick up and talk to her, which is more than we've done over the last 5 days. I like this idea. Waiter's not talking to me. He's on the phone in the back. And eventually I stand up and go, I'm going for a smoke. I walk out of the restaurant. I walk across the street. I walk onto the bus. I show my ticket. I get on the bus. I sink very low in the seat as to not be seen through the window. And I pull out my portable CD player. I'm listening to Elvis Costello, King of America, my favorite track, which goes like this. And you say you've got to go. If you must, you must. I suppose that you need the sleep of the just. And I got it. Thank you very much. So I've got one postscript to that story. I am still in touch with Adelia. I called her and I told her I'd be telling this story. She almost came tonight, but her schedule changed. And that's not a lie.